Okay, this video's about removing the rear bumper from a C350 estate. It's probably the same on most of the C-Class estate models, but this one's the C350e, so it's got the plug-in hybrid option, and that's the reason actually that I had the bumper off. So the charge door on this model wasn't working, it wouldn't shut, so you could close it but it just sprung back open. In order to fix that, I've had to replace the central locking actuator, which is this thing here. To get that off, you turn it clockwise and it simply pulls away and then you can replace it. So and I bought a new one from Mercedes. They had it in stock in their parts department. It cost me all of £17, so not particularly expensive, fairly easy to get hold of. And the part number is that, well, I'll put it in the chat, but the 8206205 something or others in the dirt. So a couple of problems that I found when I had the bumper off. One is that this sort of housing for the door is basically just welded onto the bumper with these imprint things, and down the left hand side the welds had gone, and around the bottom the welds had gone. This car was involved in it was rear-ended when it was less than a year old. It was repaired, but I suspect maybe when it came back the charge door wasn't the same basically, and I'm guessing that the replacement bumper in transit was damaged. You know, basically the courier was a bit rough with it and probably split these, or during manufacture they were never done properly. The door is clicking nice and easily now, so that's beautiful. But when I first fitted it, it wouldn't. And what I found was that if I took the new part and pressed it onto the click-clack mechanism like that, it worked perfectly. Once I fitted it into the bumper and tried again, it just still wouldn't work at all. It was really spongy and it was really difficult. And the only thing that I could find that was actually potentially impacting the mechanism was the dust cover. So this is the dust cover, and what I've done is I've chopped a little bit off the end of it. So I've just taken a Stanley knife to it and cut the tip off the dust cover. So I'm guessing it probably won't have a massive impact on the functioning of it. This pin actually is really easy to remove. If you pull this dust cover off and it practically falls out of the door, it's just twisted in on a bayonet, and the whole mechanism is a bit ugly, to be honest. It's basically sort of the technology of the top of a propelling biro, and so it's sort of a click-clack kind of mechanism in here, and then presumably that thing on the back is connected to the central locking and locks to prevent the click-clack from working when the car is left. So anyway, I'm going to show you the fitting of the bumper, and hopefully it will help you to unfit it, because when I did it, I had to base this on the saloon model, and I found that there was quite a few things. I mean, there's some things that are exactly the same, and there was some other things that were completely different, and potentially I've pulled off more than I need to, trying to access things that just weren't there essentially. So we'll kind of go through that. So the fitting of this bumper, there are a couple of bolt points on either side, and then there's two from underneath here and here, and then in the corners there's one there at the top of the wheel arch and another one on the same other side. It's all symmetric, and then there's essentially these two more which take the sort of push-in plastic rivet things. You have to get the wheel liner off first to get at these, and that's basically the sides, the wheel arches, that's exactly the same as on the saloon, on the sedan model. The big difference is that in the instructions for the saloon it talks about bolts that have to be removed from inside of the boot underfloor, and on this model that's not at all the case. Instead you've got these clips here, these three tabs on each side that slot into this plastic thing, and I've just noticed I've put that back on upside down, so we better fix that. But that one's on the right way up, and you've got these slots that it goes into, and basically what we had to do was remove all the bolts that I've just shown you from underneath, peel away the bumper from the sides where it clips into here, and then prise this off. And the way to get at that is to take the light unit out. The only other thing we needed to do was there is a plug, it's here, which connects to the reversing proximity sensors, whatever you call them, parking sensors. So in order to get at that we had to take the basically on this model it's little more than a paper tray with three pins at the top here. So there's one there, there's one there, there's one hiding underneath the side liner. I've taken the side liners off because the instructions for the sedan said that there would be bolts there. Fixing the bumper, there aren't. It's made it very easy for me to get the lights out, but I think actually it was probably completely unnecessary because basically there's a door here. You should be able to take that out and get your hand in and remove. There's three nuts to remove, and then unplug it and draw it out. There is a little rubber plug here that holds the front of the unit, so I had to kind of basically just tease it off with one of those plastic tools at the front in order to get it to move, and then they came off really easily after that. So that's basically it. I might put in a bit more detail as we kind of go through, as I put the stuff back on. But anyway, for now I'll get cracking. I don't have any tripods or anything, so I'm afraid the video will be off whilst I'm working. In the rest of the video I'll show you how I'm reassembling the car, but here are the steps for taking the bumper off. Okay, we're ready to put the bumper on. I've turned this right way up again. I took this off, unbolted it from above. It was really difficult to get in. At the time I thought maybe that was how the bumper was going to come off, but on the other side there's no access to the bolts at all, so it literally has to be prized out of these slots, and when I did that it came away fine. To get the bumper in, we're going to need to make two connections as we go. This one here, that's the central locking for the charging door, and then the other one is for the sensors. That one is there, so we're going to have to persuade those through as we put it all together, and then we'll get those connected up with the bumper located nearby, and then we can finish off slotting it in. So I'm going to try and get some help from someone else in the house and get that on. Okay, bumper's loosely fitted now. That literally took 30 seconds. Got my wife to help me so that I could feed the electrics through. So we've connected up the central locking for the door. The door's working beautifully, and the parking sensors is this plug here. Feeds through behind, and then I can get the camera to show you there. And that other grommet, we've pulled it through, so we're ready for the next stage, which I think will fit the tail lights, and then start screwing the bumper on. Okay, so next up we've got to fit the side trim, so fit the bumper to the mountings on the side by the wheel. The wheel's on, so it's actually pretty tight, there's not a lot of space. But in the other video they do this, and then afterwards we put the boot liner on. So first off we've got to get two with little plastic rivets in behind the boot liner, and then after that we've got another three, I think it was, yeah, 1, 2, 3 rivets to go into the boot liner, and then finally there's a bolt up here which holds the bumper up against the bodywork. So we'll do one side and then the other. Okay, one side done, moving on to the other. I found that puff of WD-40 in the rivets before I fit them works wonders, makes the pin going a lot easier. And the screws, there's basically 3 of them, pretty much all the same. These 3 10mm heads, 2 on the side on here, and 1 up the top. So we're going to do those. Okay, well that's 2 screws, so we're going to put 1 in there and 1 on the other side, and then there's the bumper back on. So it's all fairly straightforward. Went back a lot easier than it went off. In the sedan video, this trim here, they take it off in order to access some bolts behind it. It doesn't need to come off on this estate model. The bumper, you can see here there's a gap, and there are no bolts. There are no bolts back here holding on the bumper. It's just clean metal all the way across. So that, unfortunately for me, was unnecessary work, but hopefully this video helped you guys avoid having to do that. Okay, so one more thing. Here you can see a little tag just there. That apparently is the emergency release for the charging socket. So if you've got a plug stuck in a charging socket and it won't release, you're supposed to pull that, and to get at it, you take a plastic trim off here, and there's a single bolt around a rubber bush here. We're going to put those back on now. We probably didn't need to take them off at all to do the job we've just done. We also didn't need to take this rubber off. We did because on the saloon model it was shown. Didn't need to take the metal boot kicker off, that was shown. Didn't need to take the boot floor out, that was shown. But what we did need to take out so we could access the one plug was this like paper floor that's underneath the hidden compartment. We'll put that back in a second, but it's just 3 things at the top. Okay, so now paper tray is in as well. It was a bit of a challenge getting it in here at the front, or back rather, but you know, a bit of gentle persuasion and twisting, it went in eventually. And that's for the hidden floor, so all the supermarket bags can go back in, and now I'm done.